Let me begin by minimizing mplay. And now to be able to use physically based rendering or PBR, we have to create a render node. So let me go to my out context, and here I will just create a mantra output driver. In its properties, under rendering, I'll just switch from micropolygons to physically based rendering, and that's all what I have to do. Now I'll just click on the render button, mplay will pop up, and here's the result we've got. Now if we compare this result with the one without GI, you can see that it's almost the same except for the noise. So basically, we didn't obtain GI in our render. In fact, the reason here we didn't obtain GI is because in the parameters of our physically based rendering engine, let me go to it here, we left the diffuse limit at 0. So let me, for example, begin by giving it a diffuse limit of 1. And now you can see we are having more lighting in our scene. We are having more red on the left side, more green on the right side, etc. What's that diffuse limit? In fact, this diffuse limit parameter will define how much global illumination or indirect light bounces you will have in your scene. So for the first result here, we had 0 indirect illumination bounces, while here we have 1. And if I take this a little bit higher to 4, for example, and I hit render, I will get even a more illuminated scene. So if we compare this image here with 1 diffuse bounces and this image with 4 diffuse bounces, you can see quite a difference. The one with 4 diffuse bounces is much brighter. But keep in mind that the more you increase this diffuse limit parameter, you are increasing the indirect light bounces in your scene. And so you are increasing the calculations and the computations, so your render times will also increase. Now the problem with this method, as you may have guessed, is the noise. If we look at our result here, it's very noisy. In fact, later on we will have a whole chapter dedicated to sampling and to solving all these issues. But for now, just let me solve this issue by going to my sampling tab and by increasing the pixel samples to 13 by 13, for example. Let me render again, and now we will get much more cleaner result. I will stop the video here and I will be back when the render is done. Here it is, and now you can see that I've got global illumination going on in my scene. Let me compare this image, for example, with the one I've got with Vex Global Illumination, which is my first image in my mplay window. And you can see that it's almost the same result, but you can see that my PBR result is much noisier and it's a little bit brighter. And that's because I increased its indirect illumination bounces. So basically, this is one way of creating global illumination with the physically based rendering engine. And another way would be by using also photon mapping. So next I will be talking about photon mapping, about how to create the photon maps, and how to use them with the physically based rendering engine and with the Vex Global Illumination light shader.